As we walk down through here, look at the patches where you see fern. You're not going to see hardly any regeneration coming up through that. It's shading the area. Oak will not, an acorn will not sprout under, say, if it has, say, 90% shade, the oaks will not sprout. If you look under a patch of fern, that's much less than, that's more than 90% shade. You won't get any regeneration under a fern patch. If you have regeneration started, it might push through the ferns. But if the ferns are there before your tree seedlings, they won't come up. You won't get any of these small tulips. Getting a lot of that already in a patch like this. That'll choke them out also.
Paint some trees with red paint. The blue paint is the sale boundary. The red paint is what we call reserve trees. Those are trees that will not be cut. The contractor, it specifies in the contract that he is not allowed to cut those trees. When marking reserve trees, we look for 3 different kinds of trees. We look for snags, like down there's a double oak, makes nice snags. We look for den trees. I didn't see any around here, but there's some in here. And also seed trees. Example of seed trees would be that single chestnut oak down there and that double chestnut oak. The reason we leave, well, dens and snags is pretty self-explanatory. Seed trees, the main reason why we do that is to try to keep biodiversity on site, plant species. Say for instance there's a particular tree species that we think will have a hard time regenerating, we'll choose those for reserve trees. Like for instance here, what live oak we have, we tried to reserve to keep, not only that species on the site, but also to continue to produce mast for wildlife.
We're standing in the harvest from 1984. This is a tulip stand. This became back predominantly tulip. There's a scattering of, I see a black cherry there, some birch, probably, I'm guessing probably a third birch or maybe 20-25% birch.
There's some oak scale. You don't see it right here. We took the plots in here this summer, and you have about 10 oak trees per acre in this stand. There are none right here. What I'm guessing is they're in pockets. So overall, it's 10 per acre. You'll have an acre with nothing. Maybe you'll have an acre with 30 of them on. But it's more than 50% tulip, about a third birch, about 10% oak, and then the rest is just a mixture of everything else. And basically, what we're learning is this was, if you go back 25 years ago, you stand here, you're standing in that. Same deal. 25 years ago, we had some different parameters. 1, the deer numbers were much higher. 2, there was no herbicide spray. So, and 3, you probably did not have as many live oak in here to begin with as we do up there. This area was come in, they did some reserve trees. That hickory was reserved. That tulip tree was reserved. That was about it. So you can see how many live trees were in this area. With the higher deer numbers, they were harder on the regeneration, they were harder on the stump sprouts. If you look around by stump sprout, if you cut the tree off, sprouts up from the stump, you'll notice, if you look around, there are very few here, but if you see 2 trees growing together, that was a tree cut off for the stumps came up, that was an old stump sprout. You see very little of that here. That would have been primarily because of deer ate. Another the reason why we had a lot of tulip grows very fast. So it got a chance to outgrow faster than the deer would eat it and outgrow other species.
What I want to explain about the deer is we started managing this stand in 1987. We did a light thinning through there where we took out about 20% of the trees, tried to put growth on the good residual trees, directed management, mass production, crown development, those kind of things to the trees that were left on the site. We had that condition there existed over here. We did not spray in 1987. We carried the stand for 12 years and allowed it just to continue to grow. In 1999, we gathered information on the site, looked at what it was, and we wanted to start the regeneration process at that point. And we conducted what was called a shelter wood harvest. That is where you can you want to leave your best mass producers on that site and allow them to continue to put down mass, but we got to get sunlight issues, and we have to deal with competing vegetation. So this was herbicided in 2000. It was harvested in 2000. The Pennsylvania Game Commission didn't start putting up deer fence until the summer of 2000. Between the time it was harvested and the time the fence went up, which was that fall, we had some deer impacts. The fence was put up to mitigate those deer impacts on the tree seedlings. Now, what do deer eat? Deer will eat just about any green vegetation. They do not eat, most of the invasives you will not see them eat. They don't eat Molominate, they do not eat Japanese stillgrass. They will eat some ailanthus leaves. They like the rachis on the ailanthus for whatever reason. But anyway, the bottom line was we needed to protect what we had there. This was a tulip stand, just like behind us here, a tulip stand. And we got the fence on that fall, and we started to grow it. And what you see now is the point where right here we ran a machine along the inside edge here so we could get in to take the fence down. We're in the process of taking the fence down. The fence has accomplished its goal. You go wading through there, and I'm not about to take anybody through there today. There's a tremendous amount of seedling, sapling habitat with a whole lot of tree seedlings. But the fence basically was our tool to ensure that we could grow a new forest. Now, at the time this fence was put up, it cost us $1.35 a lineal foot for this fence. So each and every foot in length that was materials and erection was $1.35. There is 4,400 and some feet of fence there. So you can do the math. And we did that because we needed that resource to be protected, and we needed to grow that into a new forest stand. And the fence was our last insurance policy to be able to do that. In assessing it last winter, we determined it was time to take the fence down. We had a work party in June, which was probably the hottest day of the summer, or worse. Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. We had some people that are willing to come out and volunteer and help. We're going to try it again the end of February or the first weekend in March and take down the balance of the fence.
And I have about 79,000 acres, so I have 8 guys, so that's 1 guy per 10,000 acres. When you look at it that way, okay, you think, well, geez, that's insurmountable. But we only have so many herbaceous openings, and we can only take care of so many herbaceous openings. In fact, somebody mentioned, why do we put the fence up? Why don't we just make more food plots? Well, anybody farm here? Anybody farmed in the past? Anybody know a farmer? Of course, farming is very expensive, okay? For the foresters to do their thing in the forest is one thing. For us to come out here and lime and fertilize and disc and plow a field and plant something is much more expensive, much more labor intensive. So we only have so many men and equipment to go around. That's why a lot of times we're limited by that, by the bottom line. This actually was a wildflower mix that we put in here, and now it's sort of like it's past that. I mean, here's Monarda.